Hey guys, welcome to the Late Night on Base. I'm your host, Bill the Bull. This episode is brought to you by BTFD, a meme coin on base with a simple premise. When you see a giant red candle, don't be scared. Buy the effing dip. Today we brought on the Weirdo Team, and this was a really good discussion. I think everyone here listening is going to really enjoy hearing the team talk about, the project, but more importantly, who they are, and give a backstory as to how the project evolved and how it slowly went from a original dev who rugged, and the community took over and built something incredibly strong and resilient. And over 11 million market cap at the time of this recording, it's here to stay. So we hope you enjoy the episode. All right, guys, what's up? Thank you all for coming on Late Night on Base. I'm really stoked to have the Weirdo Team on. I mean, man, I'm looking at the chart today and I'm just like, I'm stoked for you guys. And I'm stoked to see kind of where things go. And, Chris and Nino, how are you guys?
Doing good, doing good. I appreciate you for having us on. It's as soon as you hit us up, I was like, absolutely.
What about you, Chris? How you been?
Yeah, good, man. Can't complain. Yeah, enjoying the chart as well.
Bro, that background. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, I want you guys to all look at Chris's background. I mean, that's the definition of weird in a good way. And for, those listening on Spotify, I mean, you guys need to click the links on Twitter to get to YouTube to see this, just for this specifically. But keep listening. I appreciate you guys coming on. I mean, we're a fairly new podcast, and, it takes a leap of faith to just say, you know what, I'm down to do a podcast without any sort of background episodes, So I thank you guys for taking the time. And I think your community is going to really appreciate this episode, because not only are we going to talk about Weirdo and, all about that and stuff, but I think they're really going to want to know, who you guys are, what makes some of the Weirdo team, passionate about the project, because as an investor, community member, trust is paramount in this space, right? So if you don't have trust, it's kind of hard to put your faith into something. So I want to dive in really deep on all that. But, for the viewers who might not know, well, first of all, Chris and Nino, what are you guys' roles on the Weirdo Team? Why don't you just share something like that so they know?
Yeah, so I'm part of the core team, which is it's 6 of us. And then Chris, I'll let him speak about it, but we have another admin team that takes care of, a lot of like the chat, the rating and on the Twitter and everything, stuff like that. So yeah, Chris could go ahead.
I just started out as a community member, got in, I think it was like early April, decided to look into like base memes. I felt like just the narrative behind base made way too much sense. So yeah, started looking around, joined a bunch of meme coin Telegram channels, and really fell in love with the artwork and Weirdo. So started out as a community member, decided just to whatever YOLO, get up to whale status. So joined the whale chat, and then just tried to like actively engage the community, and through that Sigma, a couple of other core members reached out and promoted me up to like an admin. So yeah, I try to help out in whatever ways I can, but I wasn't there for the original GD Rick situation, but I've experienced a lot of the weirdo lore and culture, and have seen it grow from, I think, 1.2 million market cap to where we're at today. So yeah, it's been a cool ride.
That's awesome.
Been a huge help. He's always, since the beginning that he was in the chat and everything, he's just been a huge help. So we had to bring him on board for sure.
That's amazing. I mean, as a project founder or part of a team, you're only as good as the community behind it, right? And so you can't do anything. You can create an idea, you can, help push, but you need guys like Chris who, have shown and proven like, hey, I'm into this. And that's just the organic way, because there's, thousands of Chris's who are just diehard once you build a foundation. So that's amazing. So why don't you guys, for people not in the Weirdo community, but want to know more, why don't you guys just give us like a brief description, a brief background as to what exactly is Weirdo, and, what's the mission behind it, I guess you can say.
Yeah, so at first, Weirdo started just as a one-man project, which was the original developer. He had like 30% supply, and on day one, he nuked his entire supply. So I actually joined the Telegram the day after that happened, and I saw, the whole chat was like, "Oh, we're bringing this back to life. We're gonna make the Jeet dev, hate what he did." And so from there, it's just been, you know, like I said, the 6-man core team, just putting in, the work. Every day we fully migrated over to a new contract because the old contract, excuse me, the old contract was renounced and the LP was burnt. So we couldn't do anything. We had no fees. We had no team supply. Our lead developer, he's been in Solidity for a while, working on that in that field for a while, and he actually made the contract migration. The migration contract, and it was seamless. Like, it was just a great migration. Everybody was very on board with it. We had a DAO that voted, so the whole community voted for every little detail. We had, the team supply was voted on, the threshold in terms of when we were going to migrate, how much supply we needed to migrate was voted on. Every little detail, I can't really think off the top of my head, but everything was through the community, and that's just, since day one, we've just been about that.
So basically, it was a community takeover then from
Yeah.
Jeep Dev, which is incredible. So it was a community takeover. You guys banded together, and then in a way, kind of created a DAO where
Yeah.
everyone kind of be voted on, which is honestly an amazing idea. And actually, that's probably a big part of why you guys have established yourselves, because by doing some sort of like DAO structure, you're giving everyone a member, you're giving every holder a voice.
Exactly.
And I think every project needs to have something like that, because it's not just like, oh, you're a token holder, like fuck off. It's like, hey, we want you to be a part of the decisions. It's actually really interesting. I didn't know it was a CTO.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that because, I guess we've just been, since, from day one of migration, we've just been pushing as hard as we can. And a lot of people that I speak to, they didn't even know that it was a community takeover from the beginning. So
Yeah, that's probably even more bullish, honestly, because you have a G Dev who is not going to dump on the community.
yeah, we have like screenshots of him talking about, oh my God, I had 30% supply. I had millions of dollars if I held.
Oh
So
man,
So I'll occasionally do voice chats in the main Telegram channel. And maybe like 2 weeks ago, he actually jumped into the voice chat. It was pretty funny. He
my
jumped in and he was just like, I forget exactly what he said, but he was definitely bitter. But it was, as far as devs rugging goes, like he was actually pretty cool in that he handed over certain things like the Telegram, I think the Twitter profile as well.
yeah, Twitter, he handed over the website. So the guy was actually a pretty decent guy, even though, he dumped his whole bags onto everybody, but he stuck around with us for a little bit and handed us over all the socials, and he had no problem with it. So
Yeah.
Well, that's good. At least there's some silver lining there. He wasn't just completely rogue. So
yeah.
tell me then, okay, so the character Weirdo, like tell me about the brand. Tell me about what it is that you guys are, because in the meme coin space, everyone, it's all culture, right? Everything's culture, whatever community you join, it's about that certain, narrative, I guess you can say, that you want to, basically identify with. So if I'm an investor and I'm looking at Weirdo, what is it about Weirdo as an investor that would stand out in your opinion?
Yeah. Do you mind if I kick this one first?
Yeah.
So, I mean, the reason it resonated with me personally is, so this is my third cycle. I've been investing in crypto since like 2016, more seriously, right? So I've had so many situations where I'm hanging out with buddies or with family or with whatever, like with whoever, talking about the latest layer 2 or block finality or whatever, just crypto stuff. And they look at me like I'm talking to, some alien language. And like I've been called a weirdo, I don't know how many times. Like they're happy for me, but they just don't get it. Right. So like to me, weirdo is just, anyone who is in the crypto space, I think can relate to that story to one degree or another. Right. It's like, oh, magic internet money, and like for me, this is my first cycle getting into memes. I definitely overlooked them last cycle, but like memes are ultimately what their way of passing on like cultural information of building community. And they seemed kind of dumb to me personally at first, but then I realized like when you're onboarding retail people for the first time into crypto, a lot of times that initial step is in some meme coin that they heard about, right? How many people got onboarded because of Doge last cycle, right? So memes serve in relation to like the base chain, memes serve as that first step in getting people set up with their wallet, of getting, familiar with like the ecosystem and how to navigate it. What's an NFT? How do you mint an NFT? How do I load money onto my wallet, right? So to me, Weirdo is like this perfect place for first timers to come into the base ecosystem, learn about crypto. They're guided by a bunch of veterans in the space who tell them like, hey, watch out for DM scammers, never share your seed phrase, right? So you got veterans teaching the newcomers about the ecosystem, and from there they can branch off into the, utility coins and so on and so forth. And then as far as like the artwork, I'll get out of the way. It's basically anything with like kind of the friar haircut, male pattern baldness, and thick orange lips. So, if you jump into our Telegram and look up, just type art, it'll bring up the art channel. What's cool about Weirdo is it's such a meta idea that you can take it in 1,000 different directions, right? You're not limited to just one image or one GIF, right? You can basically weirdify anything. So yeah, that's my piece, Nino. Feel free to add whatever you think.
Yeah, no, I mean, you said it perfectly. Like, I was actually just talking to one of my friends the other day, and he asked me to explain a layer 2. So you were just talking about it, and I'm explaining it to him, and he's just not getting it. And it's just like, when you're in this space for so long, like Chris was saying, like you're essentially a weirdo. Like everybody outside, they have no idea what you're talking about. So that's really, our narrative. But again, like these people who are coming into crypto, being newbies, they're also weirdos because they want to get out of the norm of just saving your money and putting it away and whatever, and they're trying to look for that outlet, that other community where you could share the same beliefs as other people. Yeah, I just think anybody coming in as a newbie is a weirdo. If you're a seasoned vet, you're a weirdo. So it's cool. And like Chris was saying with the art, we don't have like a one set image, and it's very versatile, and that's what is like great about the art. We could just basically do anything with it.
I think you guys have a brand that's extremely relatable to the common person, not just retail. I think you guys hit it on the nail on the head, especially Chris. You're saying, if you're kind of dabbling in crypto, or if you're just in this industry, you are a weirdo. I've been called a weirdo. Like, the amount of people who have zero idea of what I do or what I'm even speaking about, it's like a foreign language to them. But in crypto, we have our own culture and our community. Like, if you're in crypto, you are standing for difference of what mainstream society thinks, and that's a good thing. And so I'm proud to be a weirdo. I'm a weirdo in something that I'm much passionate about, in the sense that I want to be out of the traditional system. I don't want to be, stuck to 401k and having my money depreciate every single year due to inflation. I want to be in a emerging asset class, cryptocurrency, that stands for freedom, that stands for, putting everyone at an equal playing field for once, versus like, traditional deals only accredited investors in the USA can happen. I think that's unfair. I think it's unfortunate. So I choose to be a weirdo, to go into something that most people don't understand. And so I really resonate with it. And I think a lot of people will. And I think you guys are correct in thinking that memes are the onboard for retail. because no one gives a shit about layered, like, you know, DeFi protocols on like sharding and stuff. It's really, truly foreign language. So I think memes are cultural, memes everyone can understand, and it's the gateway down the crypto rabbit hole. So you're capturing the attention. So I think it's a perfect fit. Now let me ask you this, guys. How about this, Nino? What are your thoughts on Base as a layer 2? What are your thoughts on what potentially can happen for on-chain summer? What are you, and you know, Chris, feel free to chime in. What are you guys most excited about in terms of what the next few months has with Base specifically and what they can do?
Yeah, so I mean, I think Base is going to be the number one layer 2. I think it's just going to be huge with Coinbase pushing it. You know, Brian Armstrong is pushing it himself, and they're doing a lot for the ecosystem. You know, like the smart wallets just launched a couple of days ago, and that's going to be, it's just a very easy way to onboard newbies. And actually, Chris, if you want to take it from here, because you're like very good at explaining what you think on this, because we were just talking about this a couple of days ago.
Yeah, no, we did chat about it. I mean, we've had conversations about it. Like, the reason I started looking at Base, because they launched Base last summer, and you know, there was like some hype at the beginning, and then it kind of just, at least for me personally, sort of fizzled into the background while they were, you know, getting going, getting started. But if you think about, like, if we're being real, not a lot of people are on chain. And I think anyone who's been around crypto for a while and tries to onboard people, like, we can all relate to all the various friction points, right? Because if we're being honest, crypto's kind of a pain in the ass. It can be, and it's rife with all sorts of like scams and ways to just shoot yourself in the foot. Like, I've lost passwords and seed phrases before. So I've got Ripple that I bought back in like 2018 that it's just gone. You know? So anyway, like, the reason I'm bullish on Base is because they recognize it, like those friction points, for what they are. They're addressing them head on, right? So kind of like Bitcoin, when it started, it was a cypherpunk, like, FU to the system, right? It was a bunch of idealists. And, you know, now Larry Fink is shilling Bitcoin on MSNBC, right? So you've seen this evolution, right? Where Bitcoin went from a punk, screw the system, not your, like, just totally own, like, your money and your value, right? And escape from it to something that's now like an institutional grade investment that will help you offset inflation and et cetera, right? And so there's this trade-off between the idealism and, right, what's practical and what's going to get the next billion people on chain. And I think Base is taking the steps necessary to really onboard people, right? So basically, like, they just released a feature on their wallet app where I can text someone some weirdo coin, right? So I just send them a link, they click the link, it takes them through the wallet setup process, and like, boom, now you're on chain, right? And your seed phrase can just be stored in your, like, through Face ID, right? So it takes a lot of the hassle out. And for me personally, if you want to get 100 million or a billion users on chain, it's not going to be, you know, stamping a seed phrase into a steel plate and putting that in a safe somewhere and like taking care of it. Like, just being realistic here, you know, there has to be an easier way. And to me, they're solving that issue. Plus the fact that, like, how many people have Coinbase on their phone? I think it's like 100 million people. I don't know. I pulled that number out of my ass. But point being that they're, like, if you're here in the US, like where I live, I know Nino lives in the US. Bill, I assume you're in the US too. It's like, we don't have access to Binance and a lot of these other centralized exchanges. And the ones we did have access to, like FTX, screwed us, right? So here's Coinbase. They've got one of the biggest lobbyist groups. They're pushing for change on like a federal and national level. They've got all these users that are just ready to onboard. Right now, they can buy stuff that's listed on Coinbase, but to get them on chain, if you can do that in 2-3 clicks, then it's easy. You've got it made. So that's what I'm pumped for. Like the smart wallets, to me, they're moving in the right direction. It's like a good balance of, hey, we have this idealistic, let's move people on chain and like you own your assets, but also wrestling with the fact that people are kind of lazy, right? And susceptible to scams. So how do we navigate that course? And to me, Brian and Jesse they're crushing it. Like the way they're doing this, it just, yeah.
Absolutely. I think it's pretty clear to me as well. I mean, why I decided to do this podcast specifically focused on base is because I feel they are the solution to onboard the normies into this space. No one, your grandpa, your grandma, your uncle, your parents, your neighbor, they're not going to bridge from one EVM chain to the next chain to be able to buy an asset that they had to put the contract address in, find it on DexScreener or Dex Tools, hope they find the right one, figure out the liquidity, plug the slippage. They're not going to do that. Right. Simply put, the smart wallet is a game changer. Everyone in the US especially, it's the number one exchange, hands down. It's the most trusted exchange. I mean, they're a publicly traded company. So everyone of retail is going to use Coinbase, and they're going to have the on-ramp to now purchase assets on base with the click of a button. That text your token thing is amazing. I checked that out the other day. You literally can just put someone's number right then and there. Boom. You are going to onboard people who are going to want to buy your coin. Simple. Yeah. So I think I saw the writing on the wall too a few months ago, and I'm like, I want to be a part of this system. I want to be a part of this ecosystem. And I'm glad. And I think you guys are positioned perfectly. You guys have already established yourself before the masses come. And I think, as the time goes on, you're going to see thousands of projects, try to launch, but they're not the first movers like you guys are. So you guys are in a prime position, and people are going to go for the established projects when they do decide to ape in. So before we end, though, I do want to touch base because it's important to kind of know the people behind, the project. And I think, especially your community, Nino, I think you have a really good story as far as, and I want you to share kind of a little bit of your background as to like, who you are, what crypto stands for you, and like just a little bit about yourself as, a core team member, because I think it's important that we start having these discussions from, the core executive teams to their community members. And, I would love to hear from you and just, kind of briefly tell me, who are you, Nino?
Yeah, so I'm just a regular kid from New York. I'm 26, and I've just been working manual labor pretty much since I got out of school, pretty much since out of high school. And ever since, it's just been, like I've been trying to get a way out. I've started with like Forex and all that, and it just wasn't going anywhere. I was losing so much money. And then I met somebody that introduced me to crypto, and it just kind of took over my life ever since 2021. So with COVID, I was home, not working, and I was just, researching everything on crypto. And, from there, it's just, like I said, it took over my life. I go to work, working on Weirdo. Like I work the gas company in New York. And literally today, I'm in the back of our truck, and I'm on a bucket, like just going to the bathroom. Like that's my life right now, and I'm just working on Weirdo the entire time. Trying to just connect with as many people as possible. And I saw this opportunity. So, like I said in the beginning, thank you for having us on this podcast. I saw this opportunity to get a little bit more personable with the community. And so this is the first time that I'm doxing. So the first time that the public, and the whole Weirdo community is going to see my face. And I don't care. Like, I want to go show face to base events as much as possible and get to know people, get to meet Jesse, get to meet everybody, the Weirdo community. And I love this community. It's insane. I feel like a lot of these people are like my family now, like especially the team, the core team, the admin team. And the whales that we have are insane. They're not selling. But yeah, I mean, I'm very, very passionate about Weirdo, and I'm just trying to basically, get the Weirdo brand out there as much as possible. And, my going a little bit back to my life, it's just been a roller coaster of work, not working with COVID, and so I'm just trying to do what I can and to bring the people up that are in our community with me and with the team and everything like that is just it's a beautiful thing. So
Yeah.
I don't want to rant too much. I know we're going a little bit over time, but yeah, I'm just very, very grateful for what we've built, the community that we built, and the friends that I've made along the way and everything.
Yeah, I think I can just sense the authenticity coming from your voice, and it's powerful. It really is. And I'm not just saying that because you're on my podcast. I really genuinely think that's really authentic, and I think it's really going to resonate with not only your community but like newcomers coming into the space. And it's amazing, and it's kudos to you guys for doxing yourselves, because a lot of people are scared for whatever reason. But that just shows, if you take that next level and you do docs, that just shows you are a human being who's passionate. You're not hide. There's no reason to hide behind a screen if you're a project head.
Yeah.
Why? If you have good intentions, dox it. Show them who you are. Show them your passion. So, I mean, I can't wait to see you guys grow. I already know it's going to be massively big. And so I'm excited to see everything. And, Chris, do you have any last words before we sign off?
We'll repeat what Nino said, and which is we appreciate you taking the time to talk to us, to give us this opportunity to dig a little bit deeper. Yeah, this is the first time I've seen Nino's face too, so
Yeah,
bro, you're pretty handsome, bro.
We're bringing
man, but
everybody is handsome. Thank you.
We're bringing teams together, bro, on this podcast.
Yeah, but
so listen, guys.
The core team, we all dox to each other. It's funny because the core team, the 6 of us, we're all doxed to each other because when we made the full migration over, we were like, okay, we're gonna have a multi-sig wallet. We need to trust each other that nobody's gonna have any malicious intents. So we all dox to each other. We all have our Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff, our pictures and everything. And it's funny because like everybody on the team is just good looking somehow. Like
we're gonna break out the weirdo calendar.
Yeah, you guys need to. Yeah, actually, that's a fantastic idea. Did we just get something on the roadmap? A weirdo calendar? You heard it here first, guys. Late Night on Base podcast. But Chris, thank you guys for jumping on the pod. So if you're listening to this on Spotify, Apple Music, please feel free to check out the YouTube page where you can actually see the video. We're going to put links in the description for not only the Weirdo Telegram, the Weirdo Twitter, but also the Late Night on Base podcast Twitter account. We'll also be doing a giveaway, and so stay tuned for the Late Night on Base post on that. And guys, thank you for your time, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you.